Welcome back to Postscript, Miss Scarlet and the Duke. We are back again for episode 4, The Diamond Feather. I forgot what it was called, and it's all about this diamond feather.
Yeah, which doesn't look like a feather or a diamond really that much at all.
It's a brooch.
It's a brooch in the hair.
That goes in the hat or the hat, because it was a man's feather.
Yes.
Anyways, I'm Christina Zeiders.
I'm Tom Downing. I do not own any feathers specifically for wear.
Put a feather in his hat.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So today we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to split the episode basically into the case and Eliza and Patrick's relationship.
Because Nash is back.
Nash is back in town. The boys are back in town. Well, not the boys, but he's back.
The boy. Well, man.
The boy.
He's not happy.
And then in the second, after the break, we're going to talk about what everybody really cares about, William and Eliza and their relationship. I'm going to have an existential crisis. It's fine. Okay. So we're going to start at Nash and Sons because Clarence is at the office. Eliza goes into the office and Clarence is there and he's like really happy.
Eerily happy. Like this is not in character with Clarence. And we're like, what's going on? And then suddenly from behind the wall walks.
Surprise! Patrick is
Nash.
back. And Eliza is the opposite of happy.
No.
She's very disappointed to see him, and he's mad at her.
Oh, so mad because she has sunk his ship of business.
There are so many ship metaphors. I think maybe it ties into Admiral Nelson.
Oh, yeah.
That's quite possible. But
he doesn't mince words.
But Eliza says that things are looking up, that she has a couple potential clients, one very wealthy client, but Nash insists that he's going to stay.
Oh, yeah.
Until everything's back on track.
And so when he leaves, Eliza is just livid, and she just takes the papers and just throws them at the camera, which is our cut to the intro sequence. And it's just great. But then she follows up with they actually go to the case. So they
do. They go off to visit her potential client who's very wealthy, the Carters.
Sounds good.
And she also finds out that his men were writing to him behind her back.
Oh, that's
probably important to mention.
There's correspondence.
There's correspondence, including Clarence. So at the Carters, we find out that these Mr. and Mrs. Carter are new to the area and also new to money.
Yep. Jack Carter and Maisie Carter.
Yes. They set up a new textile factory, and he mentions how difficult it's been assimilating into society.
Yes.
Because the aristocracy doesn't like new money, I think is the exact quote. That's what I wrote down anywhere.
And so in order to fit in a bit more, they held a charity a fundraiser the Tuesday evening, and that's where the crime was committed.
Right. So Jack Carter had purchased a diamond feather, Admiral Nelson's diamond feather, at an auction, and it went missing during the event. And Maisie, when she found out, burst into tears. And we find out that Jack thinks that somebody stole it to teach him a lesson for bettering himself.
Again, Jack Carter,
He has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
People, I mean, they're not very accepting. Like, they're snobby, essentially. So this is why he brings Eliza. He came to Eliza because he doesn't want to go to the police.
Yes.
He doesn't
want us to cause any stir within high society because they're trying to fit in.
Yep.
And so he brings Nash and Sons, Eliza and Nash in this case, and into the in for this. And he doesn't think that it was his staff that stole it. No, he thinks that it was someone that was at the charity event.
He insists that it's somebody at the charity event. And he wants the theft to be found discreetly, the thief to be found discreetly, and he's willing to pay double the fee.
Which is
really
exciting.
Good.
Yeah.
Exciting for Eliza. Things are looking up.
So Eliza was right. This is a good potential client. So, yeah. So outside of there, they're walking, and Eliza says to Nash, "Anything to say?" And Nash says, "That was promising." And Eliza's like, apology accepted. And Nash is like, it wasn't an apology.
So, he's still not happy. He won't be happy until his office is full. Mm-hmm. And he mentions again that his men have been writing lies about their desertion, or so we think they are lies, or I thought they were lies. And back at Nash and Sons, they're kind of bickering over this whole writing correspondence thing.
Correspondence.
Clarence returns their attention to the case because Clarence is like, he wants the money. I think he's just really like, we need the money. Yeah. Like, let's focus.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I need you to sign the contract, and they both go yes at the same time, and there's like, wait a sec, who's actually
signing it? Yeah. So Patrick and Eliza kind of split up. Patrick thinks that it's one of the guests who stole the feather. Mm-hmm. Not the guests. I'm sorry. One of the staff who stole the feather.
Yeah. So Nash is going to interview the staff. Eliza is going to interview the
Eliza's going to check the guest list and see if she can find any connection to the feather or anything on the guest list that seems odd.
Yeah. And Nash also told Eliza that he's going to stay as long as it takes to get everything kind of sorted out with Nash.
Right. He's not going anywhere, much to her disappointment. So when she returns, Patrick is in her office and he looks mad. Mm-hmm. And she's gone through the guest list. She's like excited. She thinks she's found something on one of the guests.
Eliza's very happy, very excited, like you said. Nash is not looking so excited.
No. He asks what kind of background check she did on Jack Carter.
Eliza failed. Well, I mean, she did a background check.
She did. She checked his name, address, and occupation and all that.
It just wasn't as thorough as Nash would have done. Right. And he points out the fact that
unless he's trying to find something that she's doing wrong, because would he normally do that much investigation?
Oh, maybe.
We don't know.
Well, he does say that if she hadn't, gotten rid of all of his men, that they would be able to do the background check in a more thorough manner, and they would have found out this very information this very important information that Jack Carter is from a notorious crime family in the north of England. Oh yeah, the servants that Patrick Nash interviewed were scared because the crime family has been involved in murders, extortions, gun running.
And they were horrified that they might have that he thinks that someone stole it from him because they're like, we would die.
Yeah, we don't want to die. So that seems reasonable.
Right. That's what tips Nash off to actually do the more extensive background check.
And so this really great client suddenly is not so great.
No.
And so Nash is like, well, look, I'm just going to send a telegram out to.
Well, he already sent a telegram.
I sent a telegram saying we don't want this case. We're too busy. Basically.
But
at the same time, so busy. So at the same moment, Clarence
interrupts. He looks a little worried.
Yeah.
Because Carter made a surprise visit. He got the telegram already.
Yeah, Jack Carter just barges in with his thug there. And yeah. And he demands that they find the jewel and do it for free.
Yeah, right. So now there's no money. As
payment for the insult to his character. Right. And also, I mean, Jack Carter is not a very tall guy. Like Nash is a lot taller, but he is a very intimidating, he's just a stare down.
Nash is, I don't think Nash is a big fighter though. No. I think he's more of a behind the scenes kind of guy.
Later in the episode, he describes Eliza as the brains and he's the beauty.
He's the good looks.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah.
So, anyway. So Carter storms out. Their lives are in danger now. Yeah. And Clarence asks what will happen to the individual who actually stole the jewels. And Nash said he hadn't thought of that, and that could make the situation worse. And they all kind of look at Eliza like, this is your fault.
Yeah, Eliza doesn't really have much to say, and Nash is not a word.
Right.
And so we find out that Lord Fallon is...
Right. Well, Nash returns attention to Eliza because he said, oh, you mentioned you found something on the guest list.
That's
because now they have to get down the business or they will die.
And that's where the guest list, Eliza points out that one of the guests was a Lord Fallon, who happens to have a connection
family connection, to Admiral Nelson on his mother's side of the family. Yeah, so
Fallon is Nelson's cousin.
This is their only link.
And there's motive and opportunity. So Lord Fallon has both.
Yes.
And so they need
solid suspect.
They need to create a cover story. So what do Eliza and Patrick?
So Eliza's go-to cover story, I think, when she is working with a man is that they are married.
Yes.
I guess that makes the most sense because, men and women don't work together in this society. So they almost have to be married.
Yeah.
So they go to visit the Fallons under this guise.
Yeah, and they're talking to the Lord and Lady Fallon.
Yep.
and they're sitting on the couch, and Eliza and Patrick are having this back and forth where they are basically like digging into each other a little bit, where like Nash says that Eliza is such a selfless person, always thinking of others.
Right. I didn't write that down.
And Eliza's like, Patrick is never a kinder, more honorable man. So they're just like barbing each other, which is really good.
They're basically saying things that they would never say about each other because they don't find them true.
Yeah, and they know that. So it's like Lord and Lady Fallon are oblivious to this.
Completely oblivious because they've just met them.
Yeah.
So they ask about Fallon's support of the Navy. Mm-hmm. And in this conversation, they bring up that they have a common business acquaintance in Mr. and Mrs. Carter. And
this is...
So Lord Fallon obviously doesn't like the Carters.
No. Well, because exactly what the Carters are worried about. Like, he's very judgy of them.
Yeah, because they're new money.
And in this exchange, we also notice, or Eliza notices, that Lord and Lady Fallon are not very much on good terms, primarily because Lady Fallon has a massive bruise.
She has a bruise on her neck. And also, when Lady Fallon interjects to try and defend the Carters... he's very, very verbally aggressive towards her.
Yeah. And
that's when she notices the bruise. And Eliza, of course, is like putting two and two together that they are not in a happy marriage.
No.
And I think maybe Lord Fallon notices that she notices because he tries to draw the attention back to the charity, or he could be completely oblivious and just be like about the money.
Yeah, I think he's, well, he suggests a suspect just because he just knows who it is.
Well, only after Eliza brings up his connection to Admiral Nelson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's after that he starts to, I think, wonder why they're there.
That makes sense because we find out later.
Yeah.
That he was definitely involved.
Yeah.
In a way. Anyway, so he's like, oh no, it's not my connection.
Completely aware of.
No, it's this Baroness Weishman, and she's trying to pay for a passage back to Prussia. So like that's right. She's the suspect. Go check out her.
She's riddled with debt. So
riddled with debt.
So I mean, Eliza and Patrick, they have to check everything out. Yes. So they do go to the Baroness's house, and they there. Again, pretending to be married, are interested in buying her estate.
Yes, because it's up for sale because she needs the money. And so they're walking through like the stables. There's horses. They're complimenting on about the horses and stuff like that.
Yep. Eliza says that she appreciates the horses because I guess she rides in this pretend life. And the Baroness asks what they're looking to offer. And Eliza deflects to Patrick, who understands the finances much more than she does.
Of course.
A sentiment that she shared with her friend, Maisie Carter.
She
brings
name drops.
Up Maisie Carter again. And then the Baroness kind of looks a little bit like, and she goes, well, an acquaintance.
Yeah. Eliza backtracks a little bit. And so they're not friends.
Right. Not friends. They're just acquaintances.
But right at this moment, they're interrupted because a maid or one of the housekeepers interrupts and
Eliza asks about the feather, and they get interrupted right there.
Yes. Yeah. And so the interruption, Madam, you have a visitor. There's a dramatic.
There's just like a shadow of a man in the
stable
doorway.
Yeah.
And the Baroness goes, I'm so sorry, I must go.
And so as a viewer, I'm like, who is this guy? But like Eliza knows.
Right. Well, we get an okay look at his face. It's shaded. But we see he's wearing this hat. He looks kind of rough.
He's like a caricature of a character. Like he's got the top hat, like he's got the wily mustache, the glasses. He just looks like as I said, like they look like they just slapped him together with like everything. You know,
where's that bad wig again?
Give him a wig. He's got the hat. He's got the glasses. I mean, he could have been an actor we've already seen on the show, and I never would have known because like there's so much.
We did see him too, and I'm trying. Like I don't remember if it was the same guy or not.
I don't remember. I was trying to remember if he was one of the characters from the previous episodes. I think I would have remembered.
He was a forger.
Oh.
Was he involved in the money?
He wasn't a forger.
Was he in the money forging part? Like, did they go to see him about the money forging?
Perhaps. I should know because he's so distinctive.
When I go back and I binge the entire thing again, I'm just going to try and pay attention. So did we actually see this exact gentleman?
If you're watching us on YouTube, please let us know what we missed. because I was like, they mentioned that William had, I don't know. I just didn't know if that was like just they talked about it or he was actually one of the characters in the episode.
I feel like
let us know which episode we missed.
feel like we saw his workplace.
Okay.
Like that felt familiar to me.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
So anyways.
So moving
on. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. But anyway, so we find out that Eliza shares with Nash that she knows who he is.
Right. And it's a Mr. Gibson.
Yes.
So Patrick, back at Nash and Sons.
Mr. Gibson is a dealer in stolen art and jewelry. So this is very important.
Yes, because the feather is jewelry.
So we cut back to Nash and Sons, and Nash asks Clarence for info on Mr. Gibson.
Yes.
And at the same time, Clarence hands a note.
He looks worried. There's a note, and it says, "The diamond feather you seek can be found in Lord Fallon's writing desk."
Okay, so
there we go.
Case closed.
Done.
We're done.
That's the end of the episode.
Yeah,
Bye. And this is where I was like, is it the wife?
Yes.
So I'm like, something isn't quite right here.
So then we cut to Eliza, who's in a carriage. And Nash comes back to the carriage. It's nighttime.
Oh, right.
Nash bribed a maid so that they can go into the empty house.
Into the Fallons, because the Fallons are going out for the night.
And there's the desk, and that's where the feather's supposed to be. And so, like, as they break into the house, because they just open the window and they go in, and Eliza again asks about this correspondence that Nash has been having with his men.
And they have this little, like, argument, and what?
I love Nash says, "Oh, it was not your fault." And like Eliza's like, "Oh?" And he's like, "It was mine." And then he cuts her off like down. He says, "I should never have left you in charge." And Eliza's like, "What?" Right.
They're at each other's throats all the time. But this argument gets cut short because they hear footsteps in the hall.
Yes.
And so they have to hide, and they hide behind a couch. They just crouch down, and they're like,
it's like something like out of Scooby-Doo. They're like, let's just go hide behind the couch. And instead of like looking over the couch and seeing who it actually was, they see the feet.
They see the feet, which I guess would tell you if it's a man or a woman, kind of. But like, I don't know if they wore practical footwear back in the day. And this tell you nothing.
This person has like a cloak too, so it's obscuring things. It's just not really easy. And by the time they actually like gather the courage, muster the courage to actually look over the top,
they're gone. So
drawers open,
no clue.
No
feather's
feather
gone.
If it was there.
There's papers all over the desk.
Yes.
And if Fallon did have the feather, it's gone now.
Stolen for the second time.
Yes.
Okay.
So back at Nash and Sons, they're trying to work through the case, figure out if Fallon stole the feather, who stole it from him, and who sent this letter. And they're actually getting along.
Yeah, my note is Nash and Eliza are being civil.
Yeah,
they're actually cooperating, and Clarence has a list for them, but nothing on Gibson.
No Gibson. But Eliza has an idea where they might find Gibson, and this is when we flash to Mr. Gibson's workplace.
Yes.
Where I'm like, this looks familiar. I feel like we've been here before. But he's acting like he's never met Eliza.
Yeah.
And I feel like he probably has if her and William were actually working a case together. But she keeps bringing up William and, if you don't remember, I'll have to go fetch him. Yeah. And then they finally get to the point, like, why are you working with the Baroness?
He eventually caves, yeah. And so he kind of gives up the goods, basically the information that the Baroness was actually Gibson that was connected to wealthy ladies with goods to sell via the Baroness. So the Baroness is actually
like in a discreet way. So things that they want to get rid of without their husbands knowing about it.
And so it's not the Baroness who has the feather.
No,
it's actually
he's meeting with Lady Fallon.
So just like
and we don't know that she has the feather yet, but she's selling something through him. So it looks a little sus.
very sus.
So out on the street, Eliza tells Patrick that the forgers agreed to meet with her to kind of tell her what Lady Fallon is selling. And that's when they go inside and we find out that Mr. and Mrs. Carter are there for an impromptu update on their case.
Yes. And Nash says this is most disconcerting before they even go in. So they're there. Mr. Stafford,
the thug
is there. Yeah. So inside, like you said, they're there. And while Mrs. Carter's there, Mr. Carter, Jack, is
he's very civil.
Nice. As soon as he asks her to leave with Stafford, so they leave, and suddenly it's like he puts the screws in.
Yes, a switch turns on, and he gives them one more day.
Yeah.
One more day. His family found out. They're laughing at him. They have one more day to find out who stole this feather. And this is where I'm like, does his wife absolutely have no idea what he's involved in? But she does.
Well,
we find out later.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
I thought she was just like completely unaware at this point.
Yeah. I think that maybe she might have been unaware that he was still doing as much. I don't know. Maybe not.
I think she's aware.
Pretty aware. Yeah. Okay.
So Eliza and Patrick are waiting for Mr. Gibson to show up because this is their only lead.
Yeah.
And Clarence interrupts. He's trying to get them to eat lunch, and they're like, "We're waiting for Mr. Gibson." He's like describes this gentleman, and he's like, "Oh, he's outside." While he's outside. Like snacking.
Yeah.
So they go out, and we find out that Lady Fallon is seeking to finance her divorce from her husband, and that she has the feather.
Yep.
And that it's possible that Lord Fallon stole this feather, but they still need to figure out who sent the letter itself.
Yes, which we
and we also find out Clarence, you said Clarence, right, told them that the room that Lady Fallon is staying in at the hotel is paid by Jack Carter.
Yeah, Clarence interrupts them. And that's when, Eliza, so that's fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is also when William visits Eliza in her office. And but we'll have to get back to that later because he's interrupted. Everyone's interrupted. Gibson is meeting with Lady Fallon in 20 minutes.
Yeah, they got to go.
And Patrick is hailing a cab. So Eliza promises 8 p.m., dinner at Gilbert's, and heads out. And
to William at this point.
Right, to William at this point. And they go to the hotel.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. That was like chaotic in my head. I was trying to play it out.
So they know that the suite was paid for by Carter.
By Jack Carter. And they assume it's an affair.
Yeah. And they go there, and it's not Jack Carter.
No, it is.
So they confront Lady Fallon. She's there in the Marlborough Suites.
She's there.
Eliza and Nash are already there. They have the feather in hand, so they have the stolen goods. But the person who comes isn't Jack Carter for the affair. It's Maisie. It's Maisie.
So that's Carter. A twist I was not expecting. So we find out that Maisie and Emily are both very unhappy in their marriage. Mm-hmm. Emily stole the feather. Well, actually, Maisie stole the feather.
Maisie stole the feather
Emily to sell.
And Maisie was the one who sent the note.
Yes, Maisie. So Maisie was hoping that by sending the note, Eliza and Nash would tell Jack who had the feather. And then Jack would take care of it, quote unquote.
Yeah, this is where I wrote down Mrs. Carter is equals cold-blooded. Like she's just cold-blooded. She's going to arrange a murder.
Well, I mean, this was Emily was the only person that was nice to her, right?
Yeah.
And Emily's getting beaten by her husband. So they are friends.
Yes.
They're both unhappy in their marriage. They have something that they've bonded over. And Maisie's like, I know a way to deal with this man. He's a brute. I know a brute. And so, yes, she basically sets that up.
Yeah, but Mrs. Fallon was less cold-blooded, less.
Right. She didn't want her husband's death on her hands.
Yeah, she doesn't feel that's a good way. So she was the one who was actually in when
the
Nash
and
Eliza were behind the couch.
So she stole the feather back, and now they have this feather. But if Jack finds out who's really behind it, they're in trouble.
Yeah, both
he's
the
a
wives
brute.
would be. Yep.
So
outside outside of the hotel, Eliza's talking with Nash, and she has an idea.
Yeah, so Nash is like, I think we should just turn them in because I would like to go on living.
Yeah,
and like legit, that's fair.
Yeah.
But Eliza has an idea because she realizes what Jack wants more than anything in this world is to be accepted by the Toffs.
Yes, that's why they're in London. That's why they've came.
They're in London.
So we cut to the feather is back in the case, and Jack is there.
Yep.
And Jack says, "I never doubted you for a minute," which is something interesting to say to someone you threatened their lives with.
Every bit of his actions says that he doubted them.
Yeah.
And he wants to know.
He wants to know who stole it.
And Eliza and Patrick are not going to say. But they do know that he's very good at making people disappear, and they have brought together all of the files, all of the information into a file,
everything. Yep.
And it's in an undisclosed location.
And he's not concerned about like if they give them. He thinks that they're going to give it to the police, right? Because if they give it to the police, he's like, hey, they have nothing on me right now. They're not going to be able to do anything. But
no. So if anything would happen to Eliza and Patrick, this file would get released to all the guests at his party.
Yes.
The people he's trying to impress, the ones that think he doesn't belong.
The high society members that he's trying to impress. So
yeah.
And Eliza Yeah, he was threatening them. Eliza turns it around and threatens him with this. And she says she's expecting their fee. And then she's like, no. Double the fee.
What you agreed to pay.
And so Jack Carter, he nods reluctantly. And that's when Nash and Eliza leave. So we cut back to Nash and Sons afterwards. They're celebrating their success.
They got double the fee. They have some money. They have a case. They've successfully done something.
And Clarence even says to Eliza, well done.
Yeah.
And Eliza notices, she's like, was that the first compliment that you've ever given me?
Yeah. And they all laugh and he says that, I won't make a habit of it. But this is when we get kind of inside look. Patrick says that Clarence was the most complimentary of all his men.
In the correspondence.
So Clarence has been nice about her, the nicest. About her out of all of the men.
And then also Nash also follows that up. Patrick follows it up with his admiration of Eliza, like genuine admiration. And that he admits that he should have stayed longer to get her established.
To make sure that the men accept her. Like he should have stayed, made sure that his men understand that she's in charge, that, help with that transition.
He's making a concession. And so she also makes a concession.
She's grown so much over the course of the last season.
She admits that she could have been easier on his men.
A little less high-handed. Because we do find out when they're sitting outside of the Fallons, we find out that, she didn't dismiss anyone, she says. But there was one person and then there was another. And then a third. So she did... dismiss some of his men.
Confronts her with evidence to the contrary that there are at least
three men that she
just dismissed.
Actually dismissed.
Yeah, but anyway, so there's growth here.
Yeah.
And this is when Nash says, "With your brains and my good looks, how can we fail?" And so they're cheers and they clink their
cheers and they're having a great time. But this is when, because it's late at night, it's dark. Eliza looks at the clock and realizes she is late for the dinner that she promised with William.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And she
books it. She books it out. Like, obviously William is very important to her. Yes. But anyways, so with this whole case, they're definitely setting up a love triangle between Nash and William. And listen, before William got shot, I like Nash. Eliza and Nash are very similar, which is a problem and also a blessing.
Yes,
they work well together if they're working well together.
They can clash,
but they also get on each other's nerves. Yeah. But he admires her and her talent and would never stop her from doing what she wants to do.
He's very supportive in his own way.
Yeah.
But this is where we're going to take a break.
Yes. And when we get back, we're going to talk about the real love interest that everybody really wants to see happen, especially since he got shot, Eliza and William. After you subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at youtube.com/WITF Mosaic, like and comment on the videos to share your thoughts or email us at ps@witf.org. You can also like, share, and comment on Postscript Shorts on Facebook at WITF.org or Instagram at WITF.org. We love that you're with us week after week to track down the drama of Miss Scarlet and the Duke. Help keep us going with a gift of support. Go to WITF.org/mosaic to make a gift of $5 or $10 or whatever fits your budget. Your gift helps WITF bring you more of what you love.
Welcome back to the break. We just finished up wrapping up the actual case, and now we're getting case.
Patrick and Nash. Yes. Patrick and Nash. Nash and Eliza. Woo!
Eliza and Scarlet.
I'm feeling a little bit emotional right now because now we're going to talk about William and Eliza. And
so much happens. First off, I'd say that last episode added so much depth with the origin story, and it leads right into this.
Right. Now I'm fully Team William. Before I was Moses, Nash, William, Fitzroy was even in the mix, any one of them. But now I'm Eliza belongs with William. They have history.
They have good history. Yeah.
So also, just before I forget to mention this, I think it's really interesting that William's role in this story is domestic this time, whereas he expects women to be domestic because that is the way it is in society. Everything that happens with William, well, almost everything, happens at Eliza's home. So he is in her home. He is domestic one.
After recovering and waking up from his coma, he is resting and being well fed.
He's well fed
by Ivy.
Doted on by Ivy. Yes, Ivy's like everybody's mother, and I love her.
And so that's what the actual episode starts with: is Ivy is fussing over William, and William's there in a sling, and Eliza doesn't know where her things are, but Ivy knows all, and
Ivy's
she's taking care of everything.
And telling Eliza where all of her things are. She's gathered them all and placed them on the table where they should have been in the first place.
Yes. And so there's really good banter between Eliza and William at this point about like Eliza's being pretty much a bad nurse to him.
Yeah, he's a bad nurse and he's an appalling patient.
Yes. But she puts Eliza puts her hand on William's hand.
She holds his hand, right? And he looks at her and smiles. And then she remembers herself and removes her hand.
Yeah. And
rushes off to work.
She's got to do her job.
She says, things are looking up at Nash and Sons. And William says, not that he has any sons.
Lies. Yeah. Running jokes. I love the thread. They keep kind of, you're a lady detective? Nash and Sons. Not that he has any sons. So,
so Eliza's off. William's there in the house, just healing and being doted on by Ivy. Lots of cake, lots of heavy meals. And so that's all he has to do is just heal. Later, after Eliza goes to work and returns home, William finds Eliza in the kitchen, and Eliza offers to make him something to eat.
Yeah.
And she says, please, no jokes about my cooking.
And they talk about him snoring too. And like, he's like, I do not snore. So there's lots of teasing about cooking and sleeping.
Because when she came in, he was sleeping in the living room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're teasing each other like one does.
William's like,
you like each other.
William's like, you almost killed me with some eggs once.
Yeah.
And Eliza's just like, here's some bread and jam.
Right. You can't go wrong with bread and jam.
Which is interesting because in the origin story, she didn't even know where the bread was, but she knows now.
I didn't even make that connection.
So,
and she didn't make either one of those things. So they're safe to eat.
Yeah. So Eliza shares that she's busy, and then she's like,
William asks about her day.
Yeah.
Which is like what you do when you're in a relationship. Yeah.
And she's like, you'll never guess who's back in town.
He already knows.
Oh, yeah.
Fitzroy's filled him in on one of his daily visits that Patrick Nash is back in town.
Yes. Daily visits by Fitzroy.
Yeah. And Eliza mentions that she thinks it's nice that Fitzroy visits every day.
And that Fitzroy will be glad to have William back at Scotland Yard.
Yeah. So then there's this whole exchange where I'm just like, they're going to get together. Like, things are looking up for William and Eliza. It's going to happen.
This could be it.
William's brush with death has made him realize that his job at Scotland Yard isn't everything to him. Yes. And he looks at her while he says it. And I'm like, you, Eliza, everything is you.
You're a detective. You can pick up on these clues.
Nope. I think she's oblivious.
No, she has a blind spot, and it's William. So
they reminisce about the first time they met, which was in the kitchen where they are right there and then.
Yes.
And Eliza says she remembers watching him eat pork pie. And he's like, no, smoked ham.
Smoked ham.
And she mentions that she never saw anyone eat the way he did. And this is when I'm like, do I eat like a savage? Because I saw nothing wrong with how he was eating, but okay. Like that slice of ham would have been real nice for me.
So there's this development that is moving towards something, but then Ivy interrupts.
Ivy walks in. Oh. She's returned from her mother's. Her mother is suffering from gout. And Eliza quickly excuses herself.
Oh, but while she excuses herself, she's like, "Oh, William would love to hear about your mother's gout." And so Ivy's like, "Oh, yeah," and talks about how it's moved to the other foot, and now it has this like toe that's like scabby
red,
and
itchy rash on her big toe.
And so William, who has a piece of bread with red jam, so just like takes a look at it and is like.
Nope. No. The jam is no longer his
advertising. Well played.
So later in the day, Fitzroy's there for his daily visits, and William wakes up in the most disconcerting way.
Not only that, he is in fact snoring.
He is, yes, that's right. He is snoring.
Yeah, but he looks over and like this is the most creepy thing ever because like Ivy and Fitzroy are together. Just like perch like vultures, watching
him. Well, kind of like if they would put their hands in like this, they were like, "Oh my god, he's so cute."
It's disconcerting. He's still kind of groggy a little bit, but Ivy's like, oh, he's so peaceful, like a little boy, you know, in like a creepy way too. Like it's just totally
like
very cringeworthy.
Ivy does see herself as basically his mother, so I guess it makes a little bit of sense because I have watched Sleeping Babies. Like, oh my God, they're so cute.
This whole thing with Fitzroy and Ivy there just made me think of like Hitchcock's Psycho with Norman Bates because they're like there and they're like it's like whoa. So anyway, Ivy leaves to get some tea and cakes, because like she's like cake. Force feeding him.
But yeah, there's gonna be cake.
And Fitzroy is just so happy. Fitzroy's like a puppy. Yeah, he is like a puppy in like character.
Fitzroy looks up to William so much, and he's there because he's going to go give his speech for his application to join the New York police force.
It's an important day. He has to go to the embassy, the American embassy,
and he wants to practice his speech.
Yeah, and this is for the secondment, which is spelled like secondment, but it's secondment is what this is. It's like basically like I
forgot what he called it.
It's just a weird word. I've never heard that before. So it's going to New York, and this is like the trade opportunity.
Yeah, and William points out that it'll be nice for Fitzroy to put some space between him and his father. I mean, Fitzroy really does need to get away
branch out on his own,
figure things out for himself. Yeah. He's doing it at Scotland Yard to an extent, but
this is a better opportunity.
Distance would help.
Yeah, So William gives some advice on his speech that he's going to give at the embassy. And he says, don't bore them and make it short and to the point. And at this point, Fitzroy like slams down
his speech.
And it's like so many papers.
Several pages long.
So
it's like my notes for each episode. We know it's probably not going to go well, but William's there and we're going to fast forward.
We fast forward to time. So it's later on and at Eliza, and Fitzroy is back after having delivered his speech, and he's
upset
how badly it went to both William and Ivy.
They stopped him partway through.
Oh yeah, they just cut him off, which was no surprise to us as viewers because we saw.
He did not take William's advice.
So
William asks for a whiskey too at this point. He's like, he's caught up in the domestic dramas of Eliza's house. So before Fitzroy leaves, he mentions here that they wanted someone with more experience.
Yeah, they're looking for someone with more years of service, such as yourself, sir, he says.
I hate it.
And so William is supportive. And so Fitzroy leaves, and Ivy says to William, that boy thinks the world of you. You'll make a good father.
Yep. And then she says, can I speak my mind?
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, Ivy's about to drop some truth bombs
and
here.
William's like, can I have another whiskey?
Will I need another whiskey?
Whiskey. And Ivy basically says, life is short. Don't waste it. Don't you think it's about time you told her? And William's like, told who?
Yeah, but he knows.
He knows.
Ivy knows. Everybody knows. Oh, yeah. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows, except for Eliza, because she doesn't know.
She's oblivious. She's oblivious to this part of her life.
So
the next morning, William finds Eliza in the kitchen.
Yeah.
She got home very late last night. He asks, when did you get home last night? And she says, you're not my father.
No.
So get used to that.
But you can tell William wants to take Ivy's advice, and he wants to speak to her.
Yeah.
But like she keeps interrupting him.
So she is just convinced that Fitzroy has told William about her case.
Yeah.
And that he's worried about her safety. And this distracts him effectively.
Because he was going to be like, talk about what Ivy, he wants us to talk about his feelings, but then he's like suddenly like,
wait, are you in danger?
Wait, what case? Who is your client? Are you in danger? And so he gets completely sidetracked.
Yep.
She leaves,
and Eliza's like, I gotta go.
And
to
then
work.
he was like, wait, I was going to talk, and then no.
So later in the day, we see William in the living room, drawing room, whatever you call it. And he looks very concerned. Ivy mentions that she's going out to the market, and he asks for writing paper.
Yes.
She tells him where the writing paper is and the pens.
Yep.
And he moves to the kitchen.
Yeah. So he gets some whiskey, because you got to have some whiskey.
The origins of everything.
And we have the writing montage of him trying to write a very formal letter and just crumpling it up and throwing it. And
each one starts with something like, I am writing this letter to you today because. So he's not writing from the heart. He doesn't know where to begin.
And we talked about this yesterday. Like there's like this music change
in the background that's very frustrated.
Well, it's like tick-tock music. Like time is ticking. It's like this laborious thing. And suddenly when he just realizes
he has to just write from the heart.
And the music shifts to something very heartfelt and nice. and
hopeful.
And he starts it off differently, and he says that he has to say something that he needs to say. He gets off his chest.
Yes.
And he's like, I love you.
Yes. I saw those words. That's all I needed to see. And I was just like, it's happening.
So then the episode's done then. We're good. We're done.
He's going to give her the note.
End of the show.
They're going to be happy.
Yeah. So,
happily ever after. Goodbye.
Yeah. So we got that. And so, so later on, we have
this is when William goes to visit Eliza in the office because he's determined to talk to her and give her his note.
Yes.
And Eliza again believes he's there because he is worried about the investigation and like, oh my God, it's not about the investigation.
He has
let the man talk.
William has the letter in his coat.
He's ready.
He's going to give it to her.
Ready.
He's going to confess his love. But Clarence interrupts and Eliza has to go.
That's when they have to go to the hotel. Sorry, I'll meet you at 8 p.m. We'll go have dinner at Gilbert's.
Yeah.
And we can talk then.
William is left alone.
Yep.
And he sits and he puts the letter on the desk.
Yep.
And he's going to leave it for her.
And he picks up her nameplate.
Yeah, he looks at her nameplate and sees her title there
private
as
investigator, chief private investigator.
And so this jogs his memory back to what Arabella said to him in some episodes ago. Arabella and William were together and they broke up. But when they broke up, Arabella said, Eliza's ambition will outweigh everything. And so William takes the letter back.
He takes the letter back. Oh my God, my frustration at this man.
So close.
He takes it back and I'm like, don't let Arabella stop you from happiness. This is not healthy.
He's doing some introspection there. So he's like thinking about it. He's not just like rushing into things into failure. He wants it to work.
So frustrated with him.
Yeah. So
okay.
So that happens.
Okay. So back at Eliza's.
Yeah.
This is where everything goes down with the case. Eliza's thrilled because they solved this case.
But she was late. She was late.
She's raced. So she races home.
She's home. You think that like she's there. Like William may not be there. She finds the note.
Yeah, I thought William left.
Yes.
There's a note.
And
I was like, this can't be the same note as before, or maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
And he wants to torture her. I don't know.
But before she can read it, William is there.
Yep, he arrives. He has his bags packed.
Yeah.
And she assumes he's going home.
Yeah, but he says instead of going home because he's feeling better.
Yes.
He's going to New York.
He's
taking the secondment.
He got the secondment.
Secondment to go to New York. And
he's doing it.
And Eliza says, is this because I was late for dinner?
Oh, yeah, all because I was late for dinner.
And William's like, no, it's because I love you.
He finally says it.
It's out
there. And that's why he's leaving.
Boom.
Because he loves her.
And I love this part because she doesn't have anything to say. She's caught off guard. Yes. And like William's like, it's a rare occurrence that you're speechless. Perhaps I should tell you I love you more often. And I'm like, yes.
This sooner. Yeah, you should have. You should have. Okay. So this is where he says something has to change. I wrote this down. Yeah. Something has to change, perhaps for her, perhaps for him.
Yep.
But this will give them time to consider their options. If they are to be together, he cannot remain at Scotland Yard.
Can't be an inspector.
Nor can he be around her without being with her. She's put him in an impossible situation.
And Eliza says, so this is my fault? And William says, yes. And then
they kiss.
They kiss.
And it's a beautiful kiss.
Oh, it's good.
And it's such a sad kiss.
And it's in the same place they first kissed.
And he says, this isn't goodbye. It's goodbye for now. But he's giving her time to bond with Nash, who doesn't mind that she's a private investigator.
He doesn't know that. To be clear, like he doesn't know that he doesn't see Nash as a rival at this point. He doesn't know they just had this grand caper of an adventure trying to figure out who
that they work together, and Nash said wonderful things about her talent and ability. So
he leaves. So this isn't goodbye; it's goodbye for now. And he leaves just kind of on that note after the kiss, and he goes out to the carriage, and Eliza's like looking at him through the window, watching him leave.
And I'm like, go, but she doesn't.
And that's
the end.
That's how the episode ends.
And I'm so
how are you doing?
I'm so frustrated with William. Listen, okay, so he saw this life that he could have with Eliza. He knows that she's not going to stop working.
No,
like
and he experienced the home life.
He did.
with
He got
her
to experience
to
the
a
home
small
life.
degree.
And like, okay, so here are my two options for William, right? He could be untraditional, be a stay-at-home dad. Probably would never happen. Or he could partner with Eliza and
That's the
become a
answer.
private investigator.
That's
he
the
has
answer.
he has the background, he has the connections.
He
Can't see
it's right
see
there. Well,
the obvious solution.
So we learned in the last episode, the origin story, that William is following in Henry's footsteps.
Right.
And Henry was a private investigator. That's
It's
why
true.
William is William was
Henry was
an
originally
inspector.
an
Sorry.
inspector, yes.
So that's what I meant to say.
No,
Henry
no,
was an
following.
inspector, which is why William is an inspector.
Right.
But then Henry also became a private investigator. So
why not?
He could become a private
Why
inspector.
not? William, I ask you, why not?
Yes.
Oh,
So that is
frustrating.
probably the end game for the entire show. The series is going to wrap that way, that they can
Maybe
actually be
work
partners
together and
because while Nash and Eliza could be partners and have clashes,
yeah,
so could William. William could work together and have clashes.
And like, I don't hate Patrick Nash as a partner for Eliza, but now knowing William and Eliza's history, like they dangled that, and I was just like, now I'm fully Team William. But I mean, Eliza could do worse than Patrick Nash. He would give her the freedom that she wants.
So,
but like William could too if he would just get over himself.
It's right there. It's right there. They are each other's stumbling blocks. So one quick last thing I want to throw out there. Moses is still gone.
Moses is still gone.
So like if like William's leaving, she'll have some time with Nash. Maybe Moses will swoop back in for a single episode. We don't know.
I have no idea.
And we haven't seen other Moses, who was like the younger Moses from the first episode.
Solomon's nephew or whatever.
Yeah.
It's true. They just
Solomon
they set him up and then he's no more.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. So I assume that William is out for the rest of the season.
Or I think until the last episode. There's going to have to be.
He's probably going to return by the end of the season.
I don't know. Maybe something's going to happen. Maybe he's gone for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But it is Miss Scarlet and the Duke, and I feel like there has to be some closure there. I think.
Yeah, I think they would. There would have to be some sort
heck of a
closure.
Cliffhanger. Or maybe there's news, like a telegram over the ocean of something that happened to William, or something.
Don't say something that happened to him. He was just shot, Tom.
This Christina, this is a drama show. There's going to be drama. So
my heart can't handle it.
It's not just going to be smooth sailing. Like this episode was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I don't know how things are going to go.
I would like to see. I really, really do miss Moses and his energy that he brings to the show.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like,
so, I don't know either.
But they're definitely setting up a love triangle at this point, and I usually love that. But now I'm just like so fully on William's side that like I don't love it anymore. They've ripped joy from my heart.
The direction seems pretty clear. So if you're watching us on YouTube, what do you think about all this?
Oh yeah, drop your thoughts. Like,
let us know. And
are you as frustrated with William as I am? Because I feel like everybody has to be.
Yeah, I think there could be some discussion there.
So I have no idea what's in store for the nenext episode, other than William probably won't be in it because he'll be on a boat going to New York City. Yeah. So, but we'll see you next week.
I had the wild and crazy idea that maybe Eliza could go there too.
Oh, the grand gesture.
Grand gesture to chase after him and meet him in New York.
Which would be out of character for her.
But maybe she's grown enough.
William's declaration of love was out of character for him too.
He said, "I love you," kissed her, and left her a note.
Went goodbye. Yeah. I wonder if we'll see what's in the note in the next episode. I think he's going to torture her. I think it's the same note, and she's going to have to sit with her feelings for a full year. That's what I think.
Well, it's time for both of them to grow a bit,
which is good. I think it's good that they're having some time apart. They're going to have some time to think about what they actually want and what they're willing to compromise on William.
Yeah. I think to put a bow on this whole episode, that absence hopefully will make the heart grow fonder.
Fingers crossed, because I can't. I mean, maybe she'll have like a whirlwind romance with someone. That's always nice too, but that also would be out of character for Eliza.
That would be moving in the wrong direction, I think.
We'll have to see next week.
Okay, well, stick around. Check us out next week when we come back to the postscript for the next episode.
Episode 5 that I don't know what the title is.
Yeah.
I did not look ahead.
I try not to.
My heart was too broken. Okay. All right, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for sticking around for the credits. Postscript is produced by Aimee, Bealer, and Jon Ferreras for WITF. You'll find it on your favorite podcast app and at youtube.com/@WITF Mosaic. Follow WITF on Facebook at WITF.org or Instagram at WITF.org. To see episode shorts, and be sure to leave a comment or send us an email at ps@WITF.org. You can support Postscript by making a gift at WITF.org/Mosaic.